Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into my channel. If you are wondering about the conflicting arguments among Christians regarding God's commandments, stay tuned till the end. You will find some biblical truth about the law and the prophets, not according to any religious fundamental beliefs, but a direct message from the Bible. Let's dive into it. Let us start with Jesus' statement about all the law and the prophets hanging on the two greatest commandments. It comes from the book of Matthew chapter 22, verses 37 to 40. Here, Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself." All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. What does this mean? Jesus was summarizing the entire Old Testament law in a way that simplifies and clarifies its purpose. The phrase, the law and the prophets, refers to the whole of Jewish scripture, what we now call the Old Testament. By saying they hang on these two commandments, he means loving God is the foundation of all obedience to Him. Every law about worship, faithfulness, and righteousness flows from this command. Loving others sum up all laws about relationship, justice, kindness, and morality. Everything God commanded in the Old Testament, whether about sacrifices, justice, or daily living, ultimately pointed to these two principles. If someone truly loves God and loves others, they will naturally fulfill God's laws in spirit and in action. Paul later reinforces this idea in the book of Romans chapter 13, verses 8 to 10, saying that love fulfills the law because love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. Applying Jesus' teachings practically today, since Jesus said all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments, in the book of Matthew chapter 22 verse 40, this means that love is the foundation of true obedience to God. If we focus on loving God and loving others, we will naturally align with His will. Loving God with all your heart, soul, and mind, this means putting God first in everything. Our thoughts, desires, and action. Practically, this can look like prioritizing a relationship with God, spending time in prayer, reading His Word, and seeking His guidance. Obeying His teachings, not out of obligation, but out of love. True obedience comes from a heart that trusts and honors Him. Avoiding anything that draws us away from Him, whether that's pride, greed, or anything that competes with our devotion to Him. Loving God isn't just about feelings. It's about daily choices that reflect our trust in Him. What about loving your neighbor as yourself? Jesus' definition of neighbor extends beyond friends and family. It includes everyone, even enemies. In the book of Luke chapter 10 verses 25 to 37, loving others practically means treating people with kindness and respect, regardless of who they are, forgiving instead of holding grudges, just as God forgave us, being generous and compassionate, helping those in need, speaking truth with love, being honest but gentle, correcting when needed but without judgment. Why this matters? Religious people in Jesus' time often focus on following rules while neglecting love. That's why Jesus rebuked the Pharisees. They kept the law outwardly but lacked love and mercy. In the book of Matthew chapter 23 verse 23, today we can fall into the same trap if we prioritize legalism over love. Paul echoed this in 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verses 1 to 3, saying that without love, even great faith and religious action means nothing. So finally, when we love God with everything and love others as ourselves, we naturally live out His commandments, not just by following rules, but by letting love guide our actions. This is what Jesus wanted his followers to understand. I hope that this answers your questions about this matter. If you found value in this video, try to watch my other video like the one here. Thank you for watching and see you next video.